the non-attachment, the whole idea of attachment. Well, what if I surrender everything? What if you know, there comes a point when you realize you're going to have to surrender everything, basically, in order to
Yeah.
gain the thing that is
Yes.
most needed,
To have everything,
to have everything. But
you need
there's
nothing, you have nothing.
there's definitely it's a tricky, uh,
Yes.
situation because I remember my life really, really, becoming very difficult, and I ended up, making a lot of changes in my life and had to experience a couple of years of grief over the changes, but I will say that since that, my relationship to everything is completely different. So, it is true that if I'm attached to something and it is an obstacle to my being able to reside in my true nature, and I decide that I've got to get rid of that or, in that relationship or whatever, yeah, there is a grief process that has to happen. But
Yes.
but my relationship to anything else since then has shifted, and there's not a lot of attachment happening.
Yeah.
So it can be really scary, the idea of surrendering everything, because it's kind of like I have to be willing to surrender everything. But the reality is I might not be needing to surrender everything. It's just
Yes, that's
it's
it. Yes. Yes.
I might not actually lose anything.
No, I might not. Yes. And it's always in the moment because it doesn't mean, like, for example, if I have an intimate relationship, it doesn't mean that I won't have to adjust things and say, look, now this that was true last month is not true now. And I need to speak. I need to tell my truth, and I need to connect so that this relationship can continue to grow,
Yes.
because the growth is ongoing. So
Mm.
even when you surrender everything, I surrendered that already.
Yes.
If I needed to leave, I could leave. If that person need to leave, they can leave. It's totally free.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that I have nothing to say, because life is continuing to happen. Like, the
Oh,
human
yeah.
experience is ongoing. That's undeniable.
Yes, and I mean, again, there's an underlying trust in self, and fear of being alone has been
Yeah.
dropped. It has
Surrender. Yeah.
fallen away. So, a lot of times these ideas about needing to surrender everything, and then up comes the idea of being alone and stuff like that, right? So,
It's already surrendered. Yes, it's totally fine to be alone, and the
yes,
relationship
yes,
is still like, that's where the discernment come, and the preference of the personality. I love having an
yes.
intimate
The
relationship, and some people
relationship,
don't need to, and it's fine. It's
right. And
yeah.
again, you could run it past you were saying, is this contributing to my growth? And I was saying, is this contributing to my awakened state? Is this
Yes.
supporting
Yes.
my ability to stay
Yes. And is
grounded?
it something that I love, that I'm happy with?
Yes. Yes.
And
Do
that's
I enjoy
even
it?
if it's not perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do I
Beautiful.
enjoy it? Yes, it's full of little trap, because the mind, interpret effortless being by sometimes, oh, well, I'm not going to do anything. Then I say, no, it's more effortless doing. And I feel it's more living centered and aligned, and from intuition and resonance
And self-trust,
and self-trust. Yes.
a self-confidence, there's like a confidence.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that too about I didn't realize that you had been a person expressing anger, or there had been a time when you did. I think the main thing that I uh, was dealing with was the need to be in control and the need to feel like I have everything figured out. So
Mm,
letting go of that was probably my
mm.
biggest challenge, to and we have a flipping statement, right, where we can say, I don't need to be in control of anything. And of course, because I'm talking to you right now and I'm in this state, I'm pretty grounded in a very open state. I'm getting it's true. I don't need to be in control of anything, but it's not always true. And sometimes, we have these little tricks, right, that we can use to see how am I doing right now?
Yes, yes, I feel the same. Sometimes there will be um it's very subtle, eh? Some energy will trigger something in us and we don't really know exactly why. There's something that is arising. It's not the fault of the other person. It's something that is triggered. And in my system sometimes is I need to defend myself. And I can feel it because it's a way of being that I had to
Yes,
really had to do this. I had to
yes.
it's a program that was helping me.
Yes, we're honoring these programs, that's one of the things that we're doing that's different. A lot of people, a lot of teachers might talk about positive affirmations, leaving these things behind, but we're honoring and remembering them so that if I realize I'm triggered and something isn't quite right, I can go right to my tried and true default programming to see, is that running right now?
Yes, yes, and is
Because
it
if it is,
required? Sometimes
yeah,
it is required. I may have a situation where I need to
yes,
defend myself
that's
and I need to be able to. So it doesn't mean that I'm not going to defend myself if something happened.
that's right.
But sometimes if it start to run when it shouldn't, like I can see, oh, it's here. Okay, do I really need this now?
That's
Probably.
the key. That's the key right
Can I
there.
relax it? Can I let it go
My
in this
programming,
moment?
my default programming is running on its own, and I don't really need it right now. That's
Yeah.
and don't you think that, when people are saying, "Yes, I understand this, but it's not my experience," it's probably because my default programming is running still.
Ah, yes, yes,
My
yes,
default
yes,
programming is running. So
yes,
that's all we have to do is identify, have clarity about it. What's it been trying to help with? Honoring it, and then finally it'll start relaxing and show what's behind it and all of
yes.
that. So it just seems really simple to me.
Yes, it is simple. And I was about to mention that when you start to realize there is effortless awareness and life can be lived from that spaciousness, it tastes so good that something will keep, fueling this. Um, I was about this desire to live in truth because that place is to be in full trust with life and move from intuition with what resonate true and enjoyable in ourselves every moment without any fixation on anything. And that space may seem too big at first. I had to let go of a job, a safe job, and I was really, really scared. And I had to go through the grieving of that before something else came. There was a place where there was an in between, and
Yes.
I needed to meet myself there. The guilt of not doing anything, nothing is happening. I had to traverse this space, and those tools were what made it possible.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, beautiful. It's been great talking to you. We will put a link below, right, to the free mini course that we have if anybody's interested in the tools that we talk about in our talks.
Yes, if that resonate for you, follow intuition.
Yes.
Yes, it's true guidance. Yes. All right. And we will put a link to a webinar as well, right? For information, because we want to do we're
Yeah.
planning small group personal processing.
Yes.
And we will be facilitating people into meeting themselves in a safe container, non-judgmental, safe
Yes.
container
And
to
helping.
reveal what's in the way of their freedom, of their well-being, and their
Yes. Yes. I can't, I'm not having this as a direct experience. Why not? We'll
Mm.
just ask the system. That would be a great flipping statement. I am residing in my true nature at all times. No, if the system is giving a no, why not? What would happen? There are
What would happen?
specific reasons that is in the system that is blocking this.
Yes, and it's yes, that bring me to end with this important aspect is that what we're doing is somatic, because people sometimes they know from mind.
Yes,
They know their limiting belief, but they're very clear in the
yes,
mind, but they're not clear in the body. And so they're wondering why I'm still doing the same thing, because
yes,
I know it's not serving me. But when we ask the body, when we feel the body is not yet, it's not in agreement.
right,
So
right.
so the body needs to have its voice to feel this. And as it is felt, it's like there's an intelligence. The body is intelligent.
Yes,
It start to relax as it is felt and allowed and recognized. It's like, I don't know if you had that feeling, June, but in my process of integration and realization, it felt like all these energy that were never recognized, they couldn't be recognized, not to the fault of anyone. Everyone had their own problem and their own difficulty. It's as if they were lingering there, just waiting for
yes,
presence to be finally recognized, so that my inner child is allowed to play. Because
yes,
my inner child, my childlike playfulness is on the surface, because it's not scared that I can be there if there's a need to listen, if there's a need to attend to something. I have this presence as well, that is kind of the guardian of that.
yes. Yeah, the body is trying to protect the vulnerable self that has been, for me, what I experienced was my vulnerable self had been kind of locked away, like in a little cocoon almost, like a pearl forms inside of an oyster.
Mm,
So it's a protection from for the vulnerable self. But as a
mhm,
result, I don't have I didn't have access to the vulnerable self at all.
mm,
So yeah, that's why getting into the body is so good, because the body, as we allow and we get in the body and we do some processing, and the mind, like you said, sometimes the mind has it all figured out. Well, come into the body and see what the body has to say about it, because it has a different story.
yes,
Sometimes the two stories, you can see how they connect.
yes,
You can see how the mind stories and the body, what the body's doing, do tend to agree. Sometimes yes, sometimes not, right?
yeah,
But the yeah, I understand completely, and I see it with clients too. When I suggest, when did that originate, and the client gets a vision of a time when this originated, and I suggest, let's be with that part of you, and they are not comfortable with it right
mm,
away sometimes. And that
Mhm.
makes total sense. Like, I get it.
Yes.
What's gonna happen if I take that wounded, vulnerable part of me that was in shame and feeling what happens if I, bring her out of this safe cocoon that is really just a repressed ball of energy inside of my system?
Mhm.
And so it can be scary, and we understand that, and we're gonna support, any.
Yes, and we have tools for also for people to feel regulate their nervous system, and so that this process is not overwhelming, that they can have a totally normal life and continue to work and be very functional, because that's one of the thing I was guided to when I awoke, that it was really sudden for me. The whole thing collapsed, and I was asking for guidance to a spiritual teacher, which I felt was in integrity, and my intuition is kind of strong. So I was guided to someone that I knew was in integrity. And she said, through this process, keep some common sense. Continue functioning is very important. So even though we start to meet this energy and it may feel not comfortable, we also have tools for people to self-regulate, to continue to have their normal life. Everything is going on as normal, and this can happen at the same time. It doesn't have to overwhelm the person all day long, and
Yes.
that's how I did it in myself. I continued to work, I had a normal job, everything was going along as normal. And at night, and when I was taking walk, because a lot of processing is happening when I walk. That's why I started to speak on YouTube. As my voice was getting freer, instead of crying during my walk and processing, I started to express myself on YouTube. It's the same thing, just a different, yeah, it's just continuation of integration. So yeah, so people can totally do this while, having their normal relationship. And it doesn't
Yes.
mean that everything will fall apart, on the contrary. And everything comes up when it's ready to come up. There's nothing really that we are controlling about that in reality.
Not in reality.
No.
Okay, well, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Jules. Very,
It's
I
really
always
great talk.
appreciate. Yes. So
Yeah,
we'll post this with a few links for people
okay,
to
yes,
reach out. All
yes,
right.
okay.
Thank you. Bye.